Hi, it's Tim. Welcome to the corner. Today we have got a box to unbox. Neptune's Table Salad Prawns. No, it's not. It's not a box of prawns. It's, well, let's open it up and find out. It's an Amiga 600. Let's take a look at it. This came to me condition unknown. I don't know if it works. It came without a power supply. It came without a mouse. It's kind of yellow. All the screws are in, I believe. The warranty seal is definitely broken. And the floppy drive plastic has got a crack just there above the button. So that's something that's going to need to be repaired. It's pretty yellow. I think it's going to need retrobrighting. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm not going to plug it in because I want to take a look inside first. Our sponsor PCBWay has an awesome selection of shared projects. Whether it's a C64 cartridge or a Z80 computer, PCBWay PCBs start from just $5 for 10 boards, with a choice of colours and rapid delivery. And of course, it wouldn't be Christmas without PCBWay's big Christmas sale. Whatever your PCB, 3D printing or CNC needs, go to PCBWay.com. And now back to the video. One of the things about an A600 is that it has those surface mount capacitors that are known to be very, very leaky. And so I think we're going to have to recap it probably. Certainly I want to have a look before I plug it in to see what condition the circuit board is in. So let's open it up. First off, I'll take the trapdoor off. I don't know if there's anything inside there. No, there isn't. Okay, right, this is serial number 85872, made in Hong Kong. Let's find a pot to put some screws in. This will do. Oh, there's a warranty seal over that one. That's interesting. Somebody has stuck another seal on it. That's not going to last. I've never been inside an A600, I don't quite know how to pop it open. Probably need to apply some pressure to talk among yourselves. There we go. And there's a cable attached there. Now it's just a matter of figuring out all the screws and the tabs to get this RF shield off. Let's fast forward it. There we go, it's off. I have to say, to my eyes, those capacitors look like they're in quite good condition. The solder around them is bright. They don't look like they've leaked. I don't see any signs of damage around there. Could be famous last words, of course. A600 Rev 1.3. Okay. Well, let's plug it in and see if it does anything. I mean, it looks very clean. It's not dirty, it's not grubby. I would expect it to be grubby. So maybe the previous owner has done some good work on it. That's almost disappointing. I bet it's going to work. Before we plug it in, let's just give it a little bit of a wipe down with some IPA and see what's what. Okay, we're getting something going on there. It might just be dirt off the circuit board, but it's kind of green. So I think maybe, oh yeah, and around those, maybe that is leakage. That's coming off green. I've got a capacitor kit, so I can't replace them. It's definitely coming off green, and it looks like there's bits of solder mask, well, not solder mask, but silk screen coming off. So I'm going to say maybe they have leaked after all. Let's still plug it in and give it a go, see what it does. Okay, right, let's switch it on. Something kind of went pop. Don't know if you heard it. I think that is probably a capacitor going. It started. Right, I've got hold of the capacitor kit for the Amiga 600. These are available from all over the place, basically. Retro shops, you can get them from eBay, and they have every capacitor that you need to replace on here. And I've taken the board out of the case. I've just got to remove the under tray, and we have got basically 4 through-hole capacitors and a whole load of surface mount capacitors. Now, these 2 at the back here are going to be the difficult little ones, and we're going to need to take off this keyboard connector and possibly even these audio connectors as well in order to get at those, because they are difficult. I think I'm going to take off the through-hole capacitors first, and then I'm going to look at the surface mount ones. So let's get this back off. And I've got my trusty little nut twister. And this should just lift out. So that's the back of it. I've located the first through hole on the back, so let's desolder it. These through holes attach to some pretty big ground planes, so it's going to take a lot of heat. That's got it. It's the same process for the other capacitors, so we'll just jump straight to the end of that. Before we take the surface mount caps off, we need to remove this and this, because there's no way I'm going to get into that gap. Just add some solder. So what we want to do now is just wiggle it with a little screwdriver. very carefully. There we go, and it doesn't look like we've pulled any tracks. Now I think we could get away with just taking out that red one. With a bit of effort, that's come out. Now we come to the exciting part of removing the surface mounted capacitors. Now there are a number of ways of doing this, and what I'm going to try, because I've never done this before, so this is the first time, what I'm going to try is a method that I first saw on Ravenwolf's channel, and I'm going to link that in the description below. And I think he first got it from Chris Edwards or something like that, and it's quite simple. What we do is we get a pair of pliers and we apply pressure and we just cut the top off. And then we can literally pick pieces off. Just black rubber. Easier. Just cut those legs. And that just comes off. And all we then have to do is take a not desperately hot soldering iron. This is about 290. And away it goes, and I can already smell that. It's definitely leaked. It smells a bit fishy. There we go. And you can see, yeah, you can see, you can see the silk screen is just coming away. But that's it removed. So let's go and do the others. And that basically minimises the damage to the board. Although the capacitor, of course, is not going to be testable. Just cut the bottom of those legs so that it makes this plastic easier to remove. There we go. Once again, you can see that it looks dull and kind of leaky. And it's not taking the heat from the soldering iron. So let's put some flux on it. Some solder as well. These smaller capacitors have definitely, well, these surface mount rather capacitors have definitely leaked. And now these two, again exactly the same. And now we come to the final section of the board, exactly the same process. Okay, now I just need to give these a good clean down with some IPA and clean the solder pads with some braid. And I'll go through and do the rest of that, and we'll come back when it's done. The board is cleaned up, and this is all the grot that came out of the old capacitors and bits and bobs. Now it's time to put the new ones in. So I've got my trusty scribbled piece of paper that shows the positions and orientations and sizes. And I've got the new capacitors, and I've got this stuff, which is going to be interesting. This is solder paste. So it says no clean lead-free solder paste. So it's basically tiny beads of solder in flux. Okay, and we inject it, and we're going to try it on these ones first. Those are 22s, I think. These are 22s. Okay, so what this does is okay, so what we do is we put the capacitor onto the solder paste, and then we touch it with the soldering iron. And that's done. That's the theory of it. I'm not going to call that the best job in the world, but it's on. So now let's put back in the through-hole capacitors. You've got 2000 microfarads and two 470s. Okay, now the long leg is positive and the minus symbol is negative, so that one goes in this way round. It's a big earth plane. Good, now before we put these connectors back in, we'll just plug it in and try it out. Because we don't actually need the keyboard to see if we've screwed it up. The moment of truth, let's switch it on, it's plugged in. There's no floppy disk and there's no keyboard, but it should still boot as far as the workbench screen, or at least as far as the workbench prompt. Oh, good sign. Excellent, 2.0 ROM, insert workbench. I think we can now put the connectors back in, and we are getting there. Right, let's solder in the edge connector and the audio jack. So the edge connector goes in. Can only go in one way because it's a zigzag pattern. So it goes in like that. And what I shall do is I shall just tack the end and press it in. That will make sure that it is firmly attached and properly seated, and the same this end. Looks good. Okay. So now I've just put it back into its case. It's not screwed down. The little screws are not put in the back. It's just resting for now. The keyboard is plugged back in. The disk drive is plugged back in. So let's close it up. And plug the floppy cable in and see if it actually lights up. So I'm aware that this piece of cable is broken, but turn the power supply on and let us see if it runs. Power light comes on, that's a good sign. I can hear the floppy ticking. Now, I don't have a workbench disk to hand, but we've got a game disk. It crashed, but that's not necessarily a bad sign because it actually did something. I don't know if that disk works or not. So the machine is back together. I haven't put the screws in because we're going to be taking it apart again next time. But one thing I've noticed is that the floppy drive doesn't actually fit properly, and so the reason why this edge piece here is broken is because the button is not in the right place. So that needs to be fixed. But the floppy drive doesn't work anyway, so we're going to have a look at that next time. Right, let's switch it on. So I've got the standard Diagrom in there at the moment. That seems to start up okay. I don't quite know what the various stops on the different colours means on the introduction, but it gets through to the menus. So one meg of chip RAM and no fast RAM, that's about right. CPU 68,000, so that looks good. Just check the keyboard. Seems to be doing stuff, so that seems to be okay. Audio test. Seems to be okay. So the machine basically is working. We need to clean it, we need to retrobrite it, and we need to fix the disk drive. And we'll do all that next time. So make sure that you've subscribed in order to be notified when that next video arrives on the channel. And don't forget to like, and we'll see you next time. See ya!